Hey, it's time for the next vlog. Kind of enjoy making these. When it comes to the storage upgrades, you have to think of things in advance because, well, unexpected can happen. And I recently said on Twitter that I've run out of storage because, well, I did. I did have some storage available for the system, etc. But the main storage I use for the B-roll and shooting all those things, including video right now, well, it was completely full. So I went on Amazon and got myself extra 2 terabytes of data. And you have to say that it's actually quite impressive how small that is. I mean, this is not even the smallest package. This is like a medium-sized M.2 NVMe drive. But yeah, you definitely have to appreciate stuff like that. Especially this is one side, and you could actually add more chipsets on the other side. You'll have like 4 terabytes of storage in a single size. I mean, this just demonstrates how far we went in terms of technology since like 90s and 2000s, where storage like this was just pretty low. Anyway, back to update. It's all down how many PCIe lanes you have in your computer or motherboard. So I have Z90 Arrows Master, which, well, has 6 SATA ports and 3 M.3 ports. And I actually took my time labeling these, so in the future, whenever the upgrades happen, it's gonna be a little bit easier. And don't get upset, I've cleaned my PC actually, so you don't see all the dust. If your PC is dirty, then yeah, mine was dirty as well. So you also notice that I have side labels in here, which is M2M, M2A, and there is M2P, which I'm not using for a very different reason. Now, in here I have 1, 2, and 3 M.2 slots, but there are restrictions in terms of how you can utilize these and sacrificing your SATA ports. Now, these labels SATA 1 to 6 are slightly misleading, mostly because indexing comes from SATA 0 to SATA 5, and it doesn't mean that they are all connected to my SATA ports, because there are other things that actually utilize SATA. Like this Blu-ray RW recorder, driver, disc burner, whatever you want to call it. I have one of those, and I think I've used it 3 times in my life. Yeah, that's the best 60 quid spent, I guess. Another SATA port is in here, which actually allows me to hot swap SSD drives. It's great for moving stuff and backing up, so I'd like to keep this operational. And since I'm using M.2 NVMe, some sacrifices have to be made, because adding this to my current motherboard, meaning I will lose one of the SATA ports. Now this means that my, well, Blu-ray driver or optical drive is not going to be connected anymore, because I don't need it that much, and I'd rather have that HDD or SSD caddy on the top of my case to be able to use it than a drive that essentially I don't really need. And so right now I have a GeForce RTX 2080, which was one of the coolest purchases ever, because A, I was lucky enough to buy it, B, I was unfortunate enough to buy it at the end of the Life of 20 series, where 30 series got announced, and then I felt like a bit of a doofus for buying these, because 30 series was more powerful and less expensive. And then again, I got lucky because we all hit the supply crisis, and no one can really buy 30 series cards without overpaying for it. So overall, I was quite lucky. Anyway, we're going to go for this port, which is M2A. And that means that I won't be able to use SATA 2 port. Now, picking the memory speeds is also important, because even though NVMe is quite fast, I've opted out for a little bit slower drive to save myself a bit of money. I know for a fact that I'm only going to store a content that I don't need access very often, and it's just files that I drag over to my Adobe Premiere once a while, so that's fine. I'm gonna be happy with it. Unfortunately, one of the blunders I did, I went for 80mm M.2 instead of 110, because I kind of suggested my purchase based on the previous one. So I need to get a proper Razer kit for the for the motherboard. I don't have it, but for the time being I'm going to hack it a little bit and just use M4 screw to kind of mount it in plain way. Okay, a little bit more tension to it, and that's fine. It sits in a place. And then my cover also has a radiator on it, which is fancy because it's a fancy car motherboard. Obviously, it's down to you whether you want to get a faster storage and spend more money, or you want to use SSDs. I went with M.2 mostly because I can take advantage of extra speeds on PCI lanes, and even the slowest M.2 drives are considerably faster than SSD. Well, they're going to be slightly more expensive, but they're a bit faster than SSDs, at least the regular SSDs at a budget range. The last thing to tell you is probably that you should keep the computer powered off when you do any upgrades, mostly because if you have it powered on, it doesn't exactly go to sleep. Most of the motherboards will still have some current in it, and if you drop the screw in really unfortunate place, you can damage things. So unplug it from mains, and be safe when making upgrades. Right, I'm just going to cover up, power on, format my drives, set up partitions, and finally I can transfer all that footage that I've gathered over the last couple of days and kept on the cards. Until then, bye!